The 14th question, second question tonight is, can you give some examples of how to teach children to get along with each other when they both want the same object, for example? So this is another one that it seems like a long time since we were trying to sort out squabbles with our kids. And the funny thing is, our grandchildren that we have close to us here, even though they're our grandchildren, I have to say that they were the most wonderful children I know. They're amazing children. And the youngest one is probably the most, that keeps them on their toes. But basically, they're so good-natured and compliant that like we moved down here when the third one was just born. And the first three children were, 1, 2, 3. they were, from 0 to 3 in 3 years. And so they were very close to each other. And Becky did a lot of babysitting for them. And she was always amazed at how good these kids really were. So that will get into the next question on the role of parents to grown children and grandchildren too. But basically, if there's one thing I think we could say is Matthew 7 and 12 probably summarizes the principle, what we call the golden rule. The Lord Jesus said, whatever you would that others would do to you, men should do to them, or do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That's how it has come into kind of modern terminology. And that's actually, as the Lord Jesus said, that summarizes the law and the prophets. The whole Old Testament, he says, is summarized in this basic principle. You treat other people the way you would like them to treat you. So I think this is a pretty simple principle, but this is something that you could use over and over again with your children. So you could say to your child, think about how you would like Johnny or Jane or whoever it is, how you would like them to share with you if they're using something that you would also like to use. And so if you get them to think about how would you like this other child to share with you if they have something that you want. And so if there are more children than toys, or there's a prized toy, or now it's very likely a device, whether it's an iPad or a smartphone or whatever it might happen to be, or a tool of some kind, you can make a sharing plan, such as child A gets it for 30 minutes or an hour, whatever seems appropriate in the kind of situation it is. Set a timer. And then when that timer dings, then child B gets it for the next 30 minutes or hour, whatever is agreed upon. And I think it would also be good to, if possible, include the children in setting up the rules. I think you'll find if you can let the children set the rules, they're more liable to obey them and to feel involved in it, because you're really trying to just have harmony. You're not trying to impose some rigid scheme on the children. You just want them to get along and to treat each other respectfully and thoughtfully. And so another thing, of course, there's another alternative to that, is to suggest an alternative toy or device to use or to play with. It's also good to teach children that if a visiting child is coming to play, teach your child to let the other choose first, just as a courtesy to the ones who are visiting in your home. And then if they cooperate, then praise them for being considerate and kind. Then, of course, the alternative is if they keep quarreling over it, you just remove it from access. It's not available anymore. Remove it for a day or 2 days, however long it needs to make an impression upon them. remember Mr. Slaybaugh many years ago. I think we were probably still in Kapuskasing at that time, giving us a little bit of teaching on parents and children. And he used this expression, discipline to impression. Maybe you've heard him say that. Discipline to impression. Every child is different. And every child needs his or her own level of discipline or handling to make an impression upon them so that it, so I think it's good to think about, to recognize for each child what matters most to them and use that to reward them or to discipline them, to try to train them in this necessity of getting along. Because obviously, I might have mentioned this back earlier in one of the messages, that in adult life, one of the best predictors of success as an adult is simply how well they can work with others. If they can't work with somebody else, they're not going to have a good life, and they're not going to excel in their work. They're going to have many struggles. And so I suppose that's about all I can help you with on that one. So that was, can you give some examples of how to teach children to get along with each other when they both want the same object, for example?